Greetings again, merchant.
Yes, many greetings. Need you have now for my wares of great specialty?
What wares do you sell, good merchant?
For yourself, behold them.
You look over the merchant's wares of great specialty and quickly reevaluate them as junk.
You seem to have quite a selection of, well, quite a selection.
A keen eye have you. In an item or two provoke interest, I might?
A daunting task. Rather, by all means.
This I have.
You appraise the object he holds up to you. It is a simple shell, intricately fashioned into the shape of a comb. The workmanship is unlike anything you have ever seen.
Fascinating. Where did you find such a thing?
Oh, old it is. From ancient times descends. Valuable, without question. Royal property former, to be sure.
You consider his story. Then you begin wondering which beach he found it on. The pearl. You have no...
If I were to, say, purchase the shell, what would it cost?
A trifle would you expend. 7 golds.
I fear that I did not bring any money.
Curiosity, I find, in one who travels but with nothing to barter brings.
Good point. The pearl, you have no...
Might you trade the shell comb for something?
The merchant ponders over this for a moment.
Of value, many things are. Of fancy, only one I have.
And that is?
Pearls.
Would you be interested in this pearl?
Indeed, I would. In return, the shell I present to you. May you be always groomed well.
The merchant grabs the pearl and tosses the shell comb to you. Then he saunters off. History will decide how greatly you were just swindled.
Oh, what a beauty. This will be worth a fortune back home.
There's a good chance you won't find anything of value in that direction. Don't throw that. How ingenious! It's a shell which has been intricately fashioned into something resembling a comb.
Hi, I am a random VGA-sized pixel that you have just clicked on.
There's no need. As you walk towards the mermaid, she tenses suddenly. Clearly, while she finds you to be a somewhat interesting and perhaps amusing creature, she still does not trust you in the slightest. You hold out the shell comb in your hand. Clear recognition shines from the mermaid's delicate features. She hesitates a moment, then cautiously extends her arm, hands open expectantly. You gently place the shell comb in her palm. The mermaid examines it and smiles. She removes an opal necklace from around her neck and hands it to you. After a moment of admiring her once-lost possession, she looks at you with anticipation. You attempt to charade the act of going underwater to the mermaid. She regards you with a look of puzzlement. Just when the whole demonstration becomes too embarrassing to continue, she suddenly dives into the sea and swims right up to you. After giving you a rather intense kiss, the mermaid dives under the water again. You wonder where she has disappeared to. Then suddenly, you feel a pulling at your legs. The mermaid holds on to you, keeping you from resurfacing. You struggle instinctively while trying to hold your breath, but she will not let go. You know you are going to black out soon. Wait a minute, you're still breathing. How can this be? Could it have been the mermaid's kiss? Speaking of which, where has she gone to this time? The seahorse is... Well, this is a new experience. The seahorse willingly allows you to climb upon its back. You slide into the little saddle and take up the reins in your hands. You just hope this creature knows where it is taking you. After a time of traveling through ever-deepening water, you arrive at a massive stone archway. Passing through it, you notice it is covered with many different intricate symbols, none of which you recognize. Mer writing, perhaps? As you emerge on the other side of the arch, a grand sight greets your eyes. You have entered an aquatic throne room. As one would expect, such a place has a throne of sorts, but what you see seated in it takes your breath away, if that still applies. It is unmistakably the ruler of the Mer people, the king of this watery world. Known by many names, Neptune is the one by which he is best known to your kind. You bow before the king. He returns the gesture with a lowering of his own head. You open your mouth to speak, but only a bubble emerges. It begins floating up to the surface. You watch as your air bubble divides in two. Incredibly, each half maintains its semi-spherical shape. You take the half bubbles in your hands and position them respectively near your mouth and ear. A deep, elegant voice instantly booms from them.
You are welcome here, human.
Thank you. I am King Graham of Daventry.
Your courtesy depicts your stature. What is it you seek here?
You explain that you are seeking the 3 gems of nature, and that you believe one of them to be somewhere in this realm. You demonstrate the approximate size and shape of the gem, then mention the Door of Destiny and what you hope to find on the other side.
I do have that which you are seeking, and know of the Door of Destiny. It is very old. Its origin is known to but a few. What I possess was known to the ancients as the Birth Gem. In the realm of the Merpeople, it is called the Water Gem, for without water, life cannot begin.
Might I have this gem, Your Majesty?
I shall let you have the gem, but first I must ask you to earn it by way of performing a service for me.
You are about to say anything, but then remember what you heard the last time you said that word to the stone door. Instead, you just nod and allow Neptune to continue.
My trident, the symbol of my power and the strength of my people, has been stolen.
A faint mumbling can be heard through the ear half of your bubble. This event is obviously of concern to those in attendance.
It is believed that one of our allies and neighbors have taken advantage of the Merpeople's kindness, and that their own king now has possession of the trident. If you can reclaim it in the name of the Merpeople, I will grant you ownership of the Water Gem. Will you do this, King Graham?
The murmuring has stopped. All are awaiting your response.
I would be honored to reclaim your trident, Your Majesty.
My sentries will escort you to the border between our 2 kingdoms. You may continue to use that steed to hasten your journey. It is my best. My sincerest hopes that you do not fall victim to the Sharkies.
As you prepare yourself for this new quest, a sudden pang of apprehension seizes you. Did the king just say Sharkies, as in sharks? As you depart the underwater kingdom, you see 2 guards waiting to escort you to the Sharkies realm. The sentries swiftly guide you along the bottom of the seabed, descending into much darker, colder water. After keeping pace with them for what seems like an eternity, you notice a forebodingly dark area looming closer and closer. You have arrived at the border of the Sharkies' kingdom. This is as far as the sentries will take you. One of the guards salutes you, then they both head back to the safety of their own waters. You're on your own from here, Graham. Those guards were sure in a big hurry to get out of here. You need to get close. Examining the heavily waterlogged remnants of the vessel, you notice an old antique bottle, half buried in the sand. With great difficulty, you lean over in your saddle and manage to scoop it up. You remove the cloth from the bottle. You need to get There is nothing of interest lying on the seabed. You lean over and pick some of the grass, which grows in between the rocks. You stuff the sugary grass into the empty bottle and push it all the way to the bottom. You can't use You place the baited bottle on the seabed, close to the luminescent fish. A few of the glowing fish are now swimming around inside the bottle. You take the bottle. Having noticed the fish moving suspiciously in and out of the rock wall, you reach out and touch it. To your astonishment, your hand passes right through. The western wall is but an illusion. You easily pass through it into a series of caves and tunnels on the other side. You need to move. You slide your blade through a small gap in the door and pull with all your might. It is difficult handling your weapon underwater, and you realize that combat will not be an option. So if it ever comes to that, you are in big trouble. As you open the door, ample light floods into the underwater cave, and you are now able to make your way around without the glowing fish. Oh no, the seahorse has followed you. Let's hope it doesn't give your presence away. You are safely concealed behind the remnants of a stone archway. This is fortunate, as the king of the Sharkies is also here. Aside from his menacing appearance, he also seems to be in a very bad mood.
I do not understand it. It should work for me. Is it not written that Trident's power can only be wielded by those of goodwill? Well, is it not?
The king's aides nod fervently.
And do I not possess the greatest will in this kingdom? No one can best me in battle. My resolve is unshakable. No amount of bleeding can dissuade me from slaughtering my enemies. Does this not signify that my will is the best there is?
The Sharky King's aides seem all too willing to agree.
Then why does it not work?
You watch carefully as the Sharky King taps 4 shells in order around the arch.
It matters not. Tomorrow we invade the Mer people's territory. For without the Trident's power, that old fool Neptune and his weakling followers will fall before our might. Goodwill. Ha! Mine is superior to all.
As he leaves, the Sharky King motions for his guards to remain. Having an idea, you approach your somewhat reluctant steed and slap him hard on the back. Look at him go! The guards are momentarily distracted. Now is your chance. You push on the shell. It moves. You were never any good with this sort of thing at school. You have no this. Your sword is. Your sword. You slide your. As you open the. Oh no. You're safe.
Is it not where
You watch carefully.
not good.
Having look at you have no desire to carry around human. You push on the shell. Without delay, you snatch up the trident before the guards return to their posts. It appears as if the guards are losing interest in the seahorse. You had better get out of here quickly. Oh no, the seahorse has followed you all the way back to the secret entrance. The guards are sure to discover you now. You remount the seahorse. Your seahorse glides onward, flicking its little tail faster than ever. You grip the reins tightly, glancing nervously over your shoulder every so often to check for pursuing sentries. As you make distance, your anxiety melts into relief. But it is to be short-lived. Finally, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You quickly make a dash for the exit. As you emerge, you realize you have only seconds before the guards come out after you. And even if you could outrun them, you're sure the commotion would attract the sentry's attention. Then you'd be in real trouble.
He of noble and goodwill, royal trident thou may wield.
You wonder what that did, if anything at all. Oh. The trident guides you back to Neptune's realm. You approach the king. He smiles and graciously accepts his trident from you. Then he calls everyone to attention.
To commemorate the return of my trident, and to honor King Graham's success, I hereby call for a celebration.
The celebration lasts for some time. You eat, drink, and have a merry time with many of the mer people. After a few hours, the festivities wind down, and you finally have a chance to speak with Neptune alone.
The gems of nature represent the 3 stages of life. Water gives birth to life, and thus what I have given you is the first of 3. Second is the growth gem, or air gem, for air sustains life and permits it to grow.
How might I find the growth gem?
I know only that its location is as far above the surface of the land as we are below it. Beyond that, I cannot aid you.
A smirk crosses Neptune's face momentarily.
You might say that air is not exactly my element.
You decide that the beverages consumed were to blame for that one.
And the third gem, Your Majesty?
Third is the death gem, the completion of life and the natural order of things. The door of destiny understands this now, as did the ancients who imprisoned the soul within. As for that gem's location, I had hoped you would have no business venturing to the castle. Colima was once ruled from that place, but sadly her people have not seen their lord for quite some time.
How long a time?
Oh, a good 4, maybe 5 decades.
Decades? Surely then...
If you please, I would prefer not to dwell upon this subject. You have done me a great service this day, and I thank you. Good luck, King Graham, and good speed.
You depart the underwater kingdom and head back towards the surface. What an incredible experience! You are certain you'll never forget the adventure you just had. Additionally, you have acquired one of the gems. As you resurface, you realize that the magic which allowed you to breathe underwater has now subsided.
Here, this might help your sneezing.
Oh, thanks. Here, you can have this back now.
You retrieve the partially used cloth from the haystack.
Feel better?
Yeah, it's so good to be able to
You take the silver needle. You test the strength of your stomach. Don't worry.
Yes?
Could you recommend another good book?
There!
This book is entitled Legends. Browsing through it, you notice an interesting excerpt.
Yes?
Could you recommend another good book?
There!
This book is entitled Power, Politics, and Pulpits. Browsing through it, you notice an interesting excerpt.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you, dear?
Hello. Do you sell anything that would aid in ascent of a mountain?
Unfortunately, I do not sell climbing equipment, or anything of that sort. This is really a specialist store.
Oh.
However, I do have an item which you might find useful. This lamp is said to contain a genie. Never tried it myself, of course. I do not believe in using magic to solve my problems. Nature has made us as we are, and we should be glad of that.
Uh-huh. How much for the lamp?
The old lady hesitates. You sense she wants more from you than your money. You hope it is not anything that you will regret.
Well, seeing as how you are a man who seems adept at taking care of himself, perhaps you could do a small favor for me?
Somehow, you knew she was going to say that.
I once owned a beautiful nightingale, quite rare around here. But the sentimental value far outweighs its monetary worth. That foul old witch Hagatha has stolen it from me, probably to use in some concoction or another.
Her nose screws up in disgust.
So, if you could be a sweetie and retrieve it for me, I will trade you. The lamp for the bird. Agreed?
Well, I will see what I can do.
Do be careful. If Agatha should spot you out of her good eye, then you'll be in for it.
A rather beaten and tarnished brass. As you face the skull towards the image of the bat above, the whole place. Throwing that away would be like... As you attempt to place the birth gem into the skull, you discover that it... You gently tap the birth gem with the mallet, hoping not to break it. It budges only slightly. You give it a harder hit. It moves a bit more. You hold your breath and give the gem an almighty thwack. It pops into the skull. With the birth gem now firmly in place, you turn the leftmost skull so that it faces the bat symbol above the cave entrance. The power of the two skulls combined has caused the bat symbol to disappear. You sense whatever danger it represented has now subsided. As you enter, you are almost overwhelmed by the foul stench which molests your nostrils. It is obviously coming from whatever Hagatha is cooking in that large cauldron of hers. There are some things of interest on the other side of the cave, but you have no means of crossing over there safely at this time. A caged nightingale sits on the floor near the northern cave wall. The light from outside barely penetrates the interior of this cave. So long as you keep your distance, Hagatha shouldn't notice you. A simple but... You need to get... It feels... Singing. You need to get... Being as quiet as a mouse, you slide your hand inside the cloak to discover a deep pocket. Amongst sticky and disgusting spell ingredients, you find a tiny silver key and a peculiar golden ring-shaped device. You hear Agatha begin a chant of some kind while stirring her brew.
The fluid of blood with bone and flesh. 'Twill make my complexion young and fresh.
There is nothing else inside the cloak except for disgusting spell ingredients. You need to get...
Inducing time to reverse its sail. All I need is a sweet nightingale.
Upon attempting to lift the birdcage, you notice that it is... That has no effect. You silently... Uh-oh, Hagatha has seen...
Well, you are the gentleman, saving me a lot of trouble by coming here.
You wandered into the witch's lair, and where you stood gave not a care. As the light... Being as quiet... It feels fun. You can't... You silently drop the cloth over the cage. The key would... You slide the silver key into the lock. It fits. You turn it silently, and the chain falls to the ground. You hear Agatha begin a chant.
The fluid of blood.
Without making a sound, you take the nightingale into your possession.
'Twill make my complexion young and fresh.
You remove the cloth from... Looking at the bottom of the cage, you find that a letter has become... The paper is slightly crumpled and dirty, having somehow become stuck to the bottom of a bird cage. You read the letter. The letter puzzles you. You offer the nightingale to Angelina. The sheer elation on her face almost makes the whole risk worth the while. She snatches it from you and proceeds to fuss over the bird. You wait for a moment, but it seems she no longer notices you.
If you don't mind, about the lamp you promised me in trade for the nightingale?
The shopkeeper looks up at you vaguely. She gradually remembers that there is another being in her world.
Yes? Oh, yes, take it. You'll have no beginning of use with it.
Don't you mean no end of use?
Of course. Whatever you say, dear.
You hear Angelina muttering cheerfully to herself as she exits.
Finally, I have the final ingredient for that marvelous youth potion. I'm going to beat you to the punch, my dear Agatha. Serves you right for hoarding this sweet, juicy thing to yourself.
You feel a nauseous tinge in your stomach. Well, at least the lamp is now yours. You take the old lamp. The oil lamp is fashioned of brass and has been tarnished. There's a spout at one end and a round handle at the other. The lamp is empty inside. You rub the lamp and wait expectantly, but nothing happens. You're about to give it another try when a small puff of smoke appears at the end of the spout. It clears, revealing a note. As you remove it, the lamp disappears. You read the scroll. Upon closer examination, you discover that the statue hides a small latch. You flip the latch and watch in amazement as a trap door opens up from the floor. You close the trap door behind you. You read the letter sitting on the desk. As you pick up the carpet, you notice a small label which reads, "Property of Al Din." There might be a faded letter or two in there, but you cannot be sure. Above you, from the back room, you discern Angelina's voice.
I did it! I did it! The youth potion is finally finished. All I need to do now is drink it.
Angelina, show yourself, you scurvy wench.
Agatha? My dear! What an unexpected surprise!
Don't you play the fool with me. I know you stole it.
Stole? Really, I do not know.
Silence! For your lies and deceit, there can be only one consequence.
No, please. I can explain.
I said silence. Oh, and one more thing. Your invitation to join us is revoked. What is this? Ah, the youth potion at last. Oh no! Drat! Now what was that spell for removing floorboards? Curses! I shall have to go back and look it up.
You fish around in the pile of down and successfully retrieve the youth potion. Cautiously, you open the trapdoor ever so slightly and peer into the room above. Agatha is nowhere to be seen. You make your exit from the basement.